softly and tenderly your shepherd's calling, calling for you and for me. See how the CDC says social distance is best for you and for me. Stay home, stay home. All God's beloved, stay home. Earnestly, tenderly, your shepherd's calling, calling, beloved, stay home.
Good morning, First Church. By the time you get this, it's probably going to be afternoon, but that's the way life goes these days. I'm just heartbroken that we can't gather for worship right now. You, I'm sure by now, have heard that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have strongly advised that groups of 10 or fewer be the only ways that we gather. That's mainly to protect people who are at highest risk from complications if they contract this COVID-19 illness that's caused by the coronavirus. So we have suspended worship officially for March 22nd and March 29th. It's possible that we may have to suspend for longer than that. We're going to follow the advice of the national leadership, of the folks that know what they're doing with this disease, as well as advice from the denomination and from the state government. So our job is to be patient and to find ways to continue to be church, even in the midst of a very unusual circumstance. All of that being said, I'm working on some things that will not be live worship this week. I want to test some things before I try to go live on Sunday morning, just so that our first experiences of live worship on video are as good as they possibly can be. We have also moved candidating weekend so that our candidate will not be joining us on the 28th and 29th of March. In our community conversation in worship on Sundays, several very good points were made about that. More details will follow about how we're planning to make another candidating weekend happen. So stay tuned for that, and email will go out to tell you to check your mail, that kind of thing. So those are the big things to mention right now. But I do also want to address a couple of other things. And first of all, the diaconate is going to receive in today's email, assuming that I get my act together after I finish this video, a tree list, phone trees, and you should be receiving contact from the diaconate at least once a week during this time that we're not able to be together. And some of the things that I'm going to ask them to think about are ways that we can help you out, especially if you are in one of those higher risk categories and can't go out to do things like grocery shopping, and if you need food or if you need your mail picked up, that kind of thing. There are those of us in the community who are not in high risk. I knew the phone was going to ring. Who are not in high risk situations, and so we can be available to run errands for you so that you're not putting yourself at risk. That's one way that we can be church to each other. Another way that we can be church to each other is to stay in touch. Prayers daily for everybody, but especially for individual people in the church, are always appreciated, and it is one way that we can maintain contact. If you are able to volunteer your time and talent in any way, please let us know. The church will be able to use your help somehow or another in these coming weeks, I'm sure. And I know that Vaughan Community Service can use some help too. Jennifer is trying to make sure that the volunteers that work at the food pantry, which is going to stay open, are folks that can do the work safely. She's found some really creative ways with the help of Sharon Seaman to do some distribution in a new way. And so, if you've got time and you've got a safe way to do it and you'd like to volunteer, please let us know, because we will find ways to make use of your time. As far as giving goes, so Obviously, if we're not having worship services, we're not passing the offering plates. And even if we do get to have worship again, we may not be able to pass the offering plates. It felt a little weird to do that on Sunday, quite frankly. But there is a way that you can help out, and that is if you can provide your pledge, whatever timing it is, weekly, monthly, whatever, you can put it in an envelope and send it to the church office, attention Dan Jones. It will remain private and confidential between you and Dan and God, and it will help us maintain our ministries to the best of our ability through this time. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, or if it's hard for you to get to the post office, you can also set up auto check writing from your bank, direct pay, that kind of thing. Just have the check made out to First Church and have it sent attention Dan Jones from the bank directly, and it will get to us, and we will make sure that that gets processed in a timely fashion. Who knows, maybe by the end of this we'll actually have electronic giving. That would be an exciting thing to leave for the new pastor to have as a means of maintaining some financial stability. There is a lot going on that we have no control over, but it's going to be okay. And I know it's going to be okay because we believe in God who is present in all things. So I leave this thought with you. On Sunday morning, for the people who were gathered who shouldn't have been there, and you all know exactly who I'm talking to, and I'm still reminding you, you shouldn't have been there. But I'm kind of glad you were. Don't tell the CDC. We are called to be vessels of living water. And even though we can't be pouring that living water directly on people right now, there are ways that we can continue to be living water, even in the midst of this social distancing. So if you come up with an idea, if you come up with a way to share, if you come up with something that people could do from their homes that would make a difference in someone else's lives, keep us in the loop. Just let us know. Our email is going to be working. As far as I know, Bonnie and I are going to be in the office at least 3 days a week during this time. That may get cut down, depending if, we have a known exposure, or if, we're going to be out for a longer period of time, then we may not, decide that the office is the best place to do things. But I would say at least a couple of days a week. I'm always available by cell phone. My cell phone number has been all over the bulletin, the newsletter, everything else. If you don't get me in person, please leave me a voicemail, because even if it's a New Hampshire number, I don't tend to return calls unless there's a voicemail attached to them, just on fear of, getting a telemarketer or a pollster. We live in New Hampshire. Even though the primary is over, they're still calling. But generally speaking, just know that you are loved. Know that it is best for us right now not to be together. And when we do come together again, it will be a tremendous celebration, whether it's 2 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it might be. I'm aiming for 2, because I'd like to see you all on Palm Sunday. And who knows? Maybe there's some creative ways to do that, even if we're not supposed to be together in big groups. Yeah, we're creative people. Know that I love you. Know that the love in this community is going to see us through. And I trust that however it is that you can be living water, you will find a way in this time. God bless you. Be wise, be safe, stay home as much as possible, and I will see you in God's time. Amen.